Hi, everybody. Hey, I wanted to talk today about something that's really important to me, and I think extremely important to our situation, our current political climate in the United States and all over the world, really, in every developed nation and underdeveloped nation. It's the topic of radical feminism, and why I think it's really important that we now more than ever share our wisdom and our insights and help educate people about really what radical feminism is, why we need it in the world, and truly why I think it's humanitarianism put into action. Because radical feminism is the crazy idea that the well-being of women and female children benefits society at large. The well-being and wholeness of women and female children and children in general is essential to a healthy community, a healthy ecosystem, a healthy population, spiritual health. It's important in so many ways. Women are the hubs of their community. We are the midwives, the healers, the mothers, the nurses, the doctors, the pediatricians, the caretakers, the social workers. We are the people that traditionally care for the sick and dying, the babies being born, the mothers birthing, and traditionally care for our families in the nurturing capacities that are endowed to us naturally and biologically through giving birth, having that sole exclusive ability to give birth and to breastfeed. Our bodies are designed to nurture and to sustain life. So it's appropriate that our other endeavors also support and sustain life. So as we care for women and female children in our country and in the world, and we really take a hard look at the atrocities and the oppressions and the objectifications and the brutalities forced upon women and girls, we must get real with what the causes are and what the answers are. That's what radical feminism does, is it peels back all the layers of this really complex, oppressive tool and analyzes each layer. And so for every year of study, I guess it could be like for every year of study and for every deep dive that you take into feminism, and the deeper and deeper you get into your analysis, you'll come to understand that patriarchy is effective in essentially objectifying women and girls and violently emasculating boys and men. So it creates, the system of patriarchy creates this social imbalance from the very beginning, from the moment that we're born, and and brought up into this world. So we can't escape these layers. We're all embedded in these layers. We're all a part of these layers. We all, in some way, contribute to these layers of oppression. And that's what's so beautiful and difficult, really, about radical feminism, is that it forces you to contend with the ways in which you are participating within the oppression of your sisters and your friends and your mothers and your daughters and society at large. And then these acts of oppressions not only hurt, obviously, women and girls, but they hurt whole families, communities, and men as well, men and boys as well. So there's a really big difference between what we call radical feminism and what has been coined liberal feminism, which I find the term liberal feminism to be a huge misnomer, because in fact it's not feminism at all. The way that liberal feminism brands itself is this sort of anything goes, women are equal to men, women, are empowered by using their their bodies, selling their images. They're empowered by prostitution and pornography. That women should be equal to men and can do anything that men can do. And I have personally some different views when it comes to whether or not that's even possible for women to be quote unquote equal to men. I don't think that women are equal to men. I think that women are women and men are men. And women have extreme aptitudes in some areas, and men have extreme aptitudes in other areas. And I think that we share a lot of amazing qualities, but it's not really about it's not about equality, because equality is really, again, another misnomer. It's not achievable. What is achievable is equity. What is achievable is taking the attributes and the natural aptitudes of what women provide in the world and what men provide in the world, and honoring them equally, and having reciprocity in those relationships, and valuing women for not just their bodies and the ways that we, nurture and bring life or bring pleasure into the world, but that we respect and value the entire entity that is a woman, her intellect, her spirituality, her genius, her musicality, her writing, her cooking, whatever, anything beyond this physical exterior. As human beings, I think that we have really been stuck in these low level vibrations for so long. It's really hard, I think, to break out of these cycles of perpetual superficiality. And that's again where I would place this fake feminism, this liberal feminism, is that it's extremely superficial. It only deals with like what's happening on the surface and what's visible to everyone and what's known to everyone. For example, the issue of legalizing prostitution, with the idea that somehow it's going to make it safer for women and girls and young men to prostitute their bodies, without looking at the realities of what prostitution and sex trafficking and pornography really means to the majority of the women and girls and humans that are involved in this human atrocity that has plagued, modern society for decades. When we do take a look at how prostitution, pornography, and sex trafficking has impacted the world at large, and primarily women and girls of color who tend to reside in very poor countries and are sex trafficked and sold as human slaves and sold into sex slavery based on their sex, based on their poverty, based on their need. We see then that capitalism, human trafficking, pornography, and prostitution are all intertwined, okay? Like Dr. Gail Dines says, she says there's only one sex industry, okay? Lots of people want to argue that there's two types of sex industries, that there's a empowering one and then there's the objectifying, dangerous one. And I love this quote from her, this idea from her, because she's absolutely right. There is only one sex industry, just like there's only one cancer industry. It's the industry that positions itself to capitalize on the demise and the belittlement and the oppression of others. Once we begin to truly understand how this industry works and how detrimental it has been to us culturally and sociologically and psychologically and physically and spiritually, it can be overwhelming. It can be incredibly depressing and humbling and scary and disgusting, truly. It can be heartbreaking to dig this deep and to truly understand all the layers of human trafficking and pedophilia, pornography, prostitution, and the like. But we must do these things. And I think that we must do these things now more than ever. Because as this pandemic continues to cycle through its waves of intensity, and as the intensity, takes its toll on our economies, women and children will suffer the most. When economies collapse, when recessions hit, it falls on the back of working class women and poor women all over the world, meaning those women will be pushed into situations to do whatever they can to survive, to feed their children. And that's typically why a woman goes into prostitution in the first place, is to feed her children, to feed herself. And so as this economy begins to weaken, and we may see the biggest crash we've seen since the Great Depression, I fear that this time will be extremely detrimental for the women and children in our communities and across the world. And I think it's essential that we as individuals take our own responsibility in eradicating this cancer and this disease that is spreading, this insidious and overt and highly funded multi-billion-dollar industry that seeks to destroy our mind, body, and spirits. I think that it's so important that we use our voices and our hearts to reach out to people, to educate, and to help provide for our neighbors, and to help provide for our friends, and to help provide for ourselves in other more sustainable and ethical and spiritually aware ways. We have to make new choices. We are being called to make new choices. This isn't about shame. This isn't about judgment. This is about when you know better, you do better. And by God, we are certainly in a place right now where we better get to doing better before it's too late. That's my prayer to you all. Those are my thoughts as of today, and I look forward to talking with you guys soon. Drop me some comments on this IG. I'm going to post this on my Red 10 Productions as well on YouTube, so check me out there. All right, guys, love you. Take care.